the first thing I'm going to talk about, which I know some of you may think, I think Simon's talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about capital. No, it's not really capital arbitrage. It's basically, yeah, I guess it is. It's capital conversion. So converting capital into cash flow, and why I've basically got one I've got one main trick in my well, it's a big trick in my sort of money toolbox, so to speak, and I just do this on repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Now, before you think you may know what I'm going to talk about, please bear with me because there's going to be some nuance behind this. So, if I just share my screen, what do we have here? Close that. Righty tighty. Can you, just double checking, can you all see my doodle pad? I know it's annoying when you have live questions. Legend, cheers, legend, that is Mike, thank you. So, I've always had a rough rule of thumb that if and you've probably heard me talk about this when I'm talking about property. And the property thing is just something that always rears its head up. And it's like an ongoing, like, if anyone wants to take a pop at me, they just go, oh, Simon just rents. And they treat it like an insult. And I think anyone that, tries to insult someone by going, huh, you're a renter. I mean, first of all, they're not really the sorts of people you want to hang around with. So buying, renting, Siam kid. And I just want to quickly, here we go. So if you go to YouTube and type buying, renting, or buying versus renting Siam kid, you'll see these two videos here. So this is generic, normally my answer to, why I rent, etc., etc. And yes, this will trigger some people. But but the thing is, when you have like a system or a way to convert capital to cash flow, you'll then start to look at the world in a completely different lens. Completely different. So, worst case scenario, absolute worst case. If I had £100,000 capital, I can convert that into about, worst case scenario, £5,000 a month cash flow. Worst case. And normally it's about 10 grand. So I normally, I call it, I tenth it. So if I have any capital, I just divide it by 10, and that's the rough cash flow that I can derive from that. And I know this sounds obscene, and it's like, oh, this is heresy, this can't be true. Because when you work this out, let's use the worst case scenario, okay? 100k into £5,000 a month. What is that? That's 60k per year. I don't need the line, I just put per annum, which equals 60% ROI in year one, which is nuts. But then that cash flow doesn't stop. In year two is then going on and on and on. So if you were to look at the ROI from this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, year one, the ROI is already at 60%. But then it just carries on going on. So and so this is why I don't love money. I just love the dynamics around it all. Does this make sense so far? I haven't told you how I've done it yet, but I just want to make sure. Does this bit make sense? Just store this in the back of your head. Right now, I can convert capital into cash flow at this sort of rate. So, and no, this is not from trading. So I just saw in the chat box, it's not from trading. This is all from business. Now, here is how I do it. Now, bear with me if you think you've heard this before. I'm sure that there's nuance in the details here. And so, this is why I'm a massive fan of payment plan businesses, or let's just call them subscription-based businesses. And if you had a generic model, it could be anything. Like I was served an advert last night, and I almost bought it, but then I was like, I don't really need it. Of subscription soup. So every week you would get like 5 big glass bottles with soup. You just pop it in the microwave or oven or whatever, and then you got soup. You can literally have a payment plan business on anything. So I'm just going to ignore the type of business. Let's just look at the structure of the thingy, of the whatever. So let's say you have something for free, and then you have something which is, I don't know, let's make it £30 per month, and then you have something which is, I don't know, £250 a month. I don't know, something like that. But 250 is probably not enough actually, just for the metrics. Something like this. Okay, bear in mind you're probably accepting that you're not going to get much at the bottom end. And let's say you had some rough conversion rates. So I don't know, let's just say with something that cheap, what is it, 30? Yeah, you'd probably easily get 30% rollover rate from a free trial or free taster, free whatever, into your lower paid sort of payment plan thing. And then from your £30 a month to £500 a month, it could be something really tiny. I don't know, let's call it 1%. Okay. So these are your conversion rates, and this is rough rule of thumb. And so if you let's use lower numbers here. So you're going to put 10k in to marketing at the top, and let's assume you have a rough CPL of, as in cost per lead, of £30. And these are all very generic, and they are realistic, by the way. A lot of these numbers I'm using for, from the fairy biz. So what happens is, if we get the calculator out, and I'm not going to go too complex in all of this, because there's all sorts of things like I could rinse and repeat. I could recycle, some of the money, blah blah blah. I'm not going to go into all that. But long story short, £10,000 divided by 30 equals 333. And now we got 30% of these people becoming paid customers. So you've got 100 over here, and 1% of them will become, your one-to-one special tier, whatever. And so if you to then look at this and work all of this out, you've basically got £3,000 a month from your 30. So let's just write this out here. So you've got 3k per month over here, and this is £500 a month, and then therefore you've got £3,500 a month, just like that. Well, not just like that, but as in, yeah. Now a lot of people think, oh my god, I've just lost loads of money, but you haven't, because this is, let's say every one of these is at least a year. It's a payment plan type model, so they're buying a year up front. So if you then to times that by 12, let's just do that. I can't do that in my head. I'm sure some whiz kids can. 3.5 times 12. So now that's 42k per year. So what's actually happened is, so if you look at just gross ROI, you basically turned £10,000, not per month, of just raw capital into 42 grand a year. Are you shitting me? There's someone at the door. Damn it! Every time. Yeah. So in terms of ROI, you've made like what's the difference? 32, just over 300% ROI. And then obviously depending on the lag, I don't know. Let's say it takes really long. I know it's 3 months. So basically, you've created a cash flow stream of £3,500 a month within 3 months, all from 10k. Now, if we were to look at this is actually a much better than what I said. Remember earlier I said worst case scenario, 100k turns into £5,000 a month, which is basically, divide that by 20. If you were to divide, using worst case scenario, 10k divided by 20, that means worst case you can turn 10k into £500 a month. But here it's actually a lot better. And then you're probably still thinking, well, I don't believe you, Siam. These stats are just, it's too good to be true. That's what a lot of people would say. The person's still knocking on the door. I'm so sorry, folks. This I think we are waiting a pretty important delivery. Can you just please hold on for 1 minute? I'm so sorry. Hey, sorry for that. It's actually the plumber. Yeah. And I'm so unfit. Running up and down the stairs is like, I'm just gonna give me a second to get my breath back. Whew. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So it's too good to be true. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, does this make sense so far? Before I lose anyone.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Right. So the next thing you're probably thinking, or something on your shoulders going, yeah, this, I don't believe you, Siam. This is too good to be true. If it was this simple, everyone would be doing it. If it is this simple, why aren't you a millionaire or what? Well, I am. I'm not worth. I'm what I call a poor millionaire. But yeah. Anyway, so let's go through the. Okay, this doesn't work. This is too good to be true. Well, for a start, all of the stats here I've shown are real stats. For example, I'll just show you some. So, for instance, I'm actually running adverts on one company right here. So we're spending £1,000 a day on Facebook ads, and look at my cost per, or Facebook calls it cost per result. It's CPL. So basically, it's cost me £35 to get a free trialer of some sort. In another ad campaign, the WAP is a bit different. The WAP is just ridiculous. It's like the hardest business on the planet, the WAP, to market. Like, it's costing me on average 40 to 60 odd quid to get a free trialer, which is just nuts. And it used to be a lot higher. It's come a lot way down. For those that have been around the WAP for a while, you've probably seen me spending about £100, £200 per free trialer. So that's that. And then if we were to look at My Fairy Pen Pal, which is like the easiest business I've ever had to market in my life. So the last, well, we've got a few different accounts with MFP. So this is okay. Yeah, we've got some. So MFP worst case scenario. I stopped those quickly. Yeah, it was this one, this main one. This one was the reason I said this was easy is because it was costing me £28.50 to get a fairy trialer, but those trialers were paying us £15. So if you look at My Fairy Pen Pal 8-week trial, to get a trialer, they were still paying £15. So they were getting a 2-month trial for £15. But when you work that out, it's just like, I'm going to have to talk about this because it blew my mind how easy it was. Because what was happening is that we were getting a trialer, and they pay £15 for 2 months. The CPL, worst case, let's just call it 30 quid. I know it's £28.50, but yeah, call it 30 quid. But what was happening is that £15 just came straight back to us. So what actually happened is that the CPL, in real terms, was actually 15 quid. And so, oh yeah, Jamie, you're spot on there. I've just saw the Zoom chat. Yeah, 15 quid CPL. And then when we looked at the conversion rate from trialer to fairy, we call them a fairy, but really it's a fairy pen pal. It's £15 per month to become a fairy, or sorry, a fairy pen pal to be more precise. Oops, wrong one. Find your fairy. Yeah, in fact, you don't need to see that. It's £15 a month, as you can see here. So the conversion rate has just been ridiculous. Guess what the conversion rate? 40%. Now, we don't have a back-end system. So we don't have anything which is like $2.50 a month or whatever. This is the whole My Fairy Pen Pal business. It's literally a £15 2-month trial leading into £15 per month. No lock. People can leave whenever they want. We're still monitoring. Look, we're just looking at all the data for the cohorts, see how people last with us at the moment. Because it's a very price sensitive market. Parents are a very price sensitive market. So if you're like, hey, 15 quid a month times 12, they're like, no, thank you. Yeah. And so what's happening here is, in fact, let's do the maths. In fact, let's just start from scratch. Let's get rid of this arrow, because then I'll put this back right at the end. So it's 40%, whatever. So the last time we did an ad campaign, we actually put 10 grand in just to see what happened. And we had a CPL of 30 quid roughly. Now, as I showed you over here, we were running a whole bunch of campaigns. We've got 100 leads here. Then on a completely different ad account, where's our MFP? Here we go. We then got another 180. Here, look at this one. So 182 leads here at £28.36. And there's a few others. Where are they? MFP. Yeah. Long story short, we were just paying 30 quid basically. And so if we get the money worker, I was going to say money worker, it's called a calculator, Siam. The money worker outer. Divide that by 30, 333. So yeah, same thing, but we got 40% that rolled over, or as in became a client. So we then got 133 fairies, as we call it. 133 times 15. 19995. Okay, so here's the thing. It doesn't sound much, but this is per month, and we know that people last with us for a fair while. Actually, like, it's a relatively new business, so every month that progresses, the average lifetime client lifetime is progressing. But 1995 a month times 12. It's 24k. But let's just say it's really bad. It's only 6 months. People are only with us for 6 months. It's longer than that. But let's just say there we go. So what happens is, assuming 6 months, worst case scenario, which they're beyond that 6 month mark already, but you always have to add fudge factor. It gives you 11,970, which is basically your money back. However, so it looks like, oh, okay, well, what's the difference between that minus 10k is 1970. Divide that by the 10k times 100. We've only made, it looks like I've only made 19.7% ROI. But when you look at it from a conversion factor, as in from capital to cash flow, what have I actually done? 10k turns into, call it £2,000 a month. So that is divided by 5. Yeah. So at the moment, although MFP looks like it's doing shit, because it's basically I'm only dividing it by 5. Sorry, not shit. Very wood. Sorry, not. Yeah. Sorry, it's good. So I was thinking about the first example where I said divided by 20. It's not the case. It's dividing it by 5, which is just nuts. But don't forget, we have the 15 quids coming back in. So 333 people doing the trial times 15 quid. What is the math on that? 333 times 15. We then get 4,995 back. So really, when you look at the ad spend, what is that? Basically it's cost £5,000. So it's even better, because £5,000 is turning into £2,000 a month. And why wouldn't we do this all day long? Well, we are. We're literally just gearing up for a massive ad campaign now. So you can look at it like that. That £5,000 turns into £2,000 a month, or you could just say, well, actually, your CPL is just 15 quid. It's probably a lot easier to do it that way. And so, please bear in mind that MFP, My Fairy Pen Pal, is an experiment that we just did, and we're using all of the things that we teach in the WAP to, and we did this in a completely alien sector. Like, do you think I know anything about fairies? No. So what was I going to talk about? So this is what I'm always on about converting capital into cash flow. And so every single time I have a freaking knuckleheaded moron say, Siam only rents, or yeah, let's just quickly do. You can just quickly do the maths. If I had let's say I wanted to buy a house of the same standard I'm living in right now, I would basically need to cough up about 800 grand in deposits and fees and stuff like that. Okay, so and that's just deposits, etc. Deposits, fees, and stamp duty, all that sort of stuff. And so, if I were to do this, just divide 800 grand by 20. Worst case scenario, 40k a month. So what this means is, if I was to spunk 800 grand into a house, I would be missing out on 40 grand a month. Please, hopefully you can all see that this is bad maths. Why would I ever do that? The only time I'd ever buy a house is when I have F off money, and a £2 million house is like loose change in the back of the sofa. That's the only like, when you look at wealth generation from an efficient first principles point of view, buying a house is the worst thing you can do if you're in the aggressive wealth accumulation phase. And so I will only buy a house, and I'll buy outright, not with a mortgage, when I can just do it and it doesn't actually hurt anything. At the moment, if I were to park 800 grand into something, that would hurt, because it would just cripple me. In terms of, or not cash flow, but it would just cripple me, like, in terms of business capitalization, and I wouldn't have any ad spend to play around with, or I wouldn't have any cryptos left. For me, it's just really, really simple. Robbie says, who cares if you rent? I totally get you. I own buy-to-lets and rent. Would hate to be committed to anything. Yeah, and it's I quite like it. Apart from when I've had nightmares with renting. In fact, if you want to hear or see of a big nightmare situation, just type in Siam Kid. In fact, if you type in Siam Kid rent versus buy, just to find those videos again, those two videos, if you scroll down, I'm pretty sure, no, type in Siam Kid nightmare. Here we go. This was an example of a nightmare of renting. What happened is that we were renting this lovely house.
This is the house I've literally just moved out of.
It was like a 1.3 mil house in Blowfield in Norwich, and unfortunately the landlord was a crook and is a crook, and he tried to extort me. So what happened was that we moved out. And by the way, we were having like a breakdown in communications before we moved out, and so we were like, right, we got to do this by the book. So what happened is we cleaned the whole house up, for end of tenancy, etc. We even got a third-party estate agent in to do an inspection on the house, and we paid this estate agent like what was that, 300 quid to just to give a little letter that this is all tip top, because we knew that the landlord was going to be an absolute douchebag. And so this is the day we moved out. So as you can see here, good old Timmy there. Oh my God, come on. I've gone backwards. Forward, sorry. If we look inside the house, it was spotless.
Nice house.
So yeah.
Like, I'm just going to do a little whiz round, but like you can see, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this house.
Basically, if you just look round this whole house, there's nothing wrong with it at all. And obviously there's a few some of the build quality is a bit pants in some cases. Look at that light switch. But it was like fit for purpose. Well, not fit for purpose, it was like it looked brand new. And this guy said I'd caused £45,000 worth of damages to his house, which is obviously a blatant lie, and he didn't know I made this video. Literally every room was like a brand new house. Yet when it went to the, was it DPS, or to get the deposit back, etc., he said we'd caused £45,000 worth of damage, and then what happened is that he went to my father. Okay. He literally, because this is nuts. He went to my father and he physically threatened my father to pay. He said, "Pay me 10 grand now, or I'm going to break your son's legs." And I didn't know anything about this. This is just absolutely ridiculous. And he extorted my poor 74-year-old dad for 10 grand. And my dad kept it quiet for months and months and months. And then I only found out probably a year ago. And, went to the police and everything. And were like, police can't do anything. So it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And then, obviously, he then started spewing. Yeah. So... yeah, this is where renting can go wrong when, Ellie and I were the most agreeable renters out there. Anyway, it was a lovely house, to be fair, other than that tap that used to always spray my crotch.
Just the cold tap.
Anyway, right, so let's move on. What are they talking about? Yeah. So, I sort of went off on one. So renting can go horribly wrong. I'm just really pleased I made that video because it's proof. But hey ho, he still has a whole bunch of knuckleheads around Norwich slandering me. Moving on. I'm going to go through the questions first because, this is, I guess, the main thing I wanted to cover. Basically, converting your capital into cash flow. And most businesses, I would say 90% of businesses out there could create a cash flow stream like this, as in having a payment plan of some sort. And your conversion rates can be absolutely pants, and you still do really, really well. Let's say you have a business where you think, okay, this business isn't really suited to what I do, or my business can't do this because blah blah blah. Well, even if you have the world's worst subscription or recurring revenue sort of plan, and you had, let's say it's 30 quid a month. And by the way, we did this for Float Norwich, which is like a bricks and mortar type business. Let's assume that your CPL, it's not really going to be much more than 30 quid for a free thingy. But let's say your conversion rate was really pants, and it's 10%. Well, let's do the maths. £10,000, divide that by 30 quid, we'll still get the same amount of free trialers, so 333. But then times 0.1 for 10%, we then got 33 customers. Okay, so let's now do the maths. So 33 times 30, it's going to be like £1,000 a month, isn't it? So 33 times 30, 990. Boom. Okay, you now got £990 per month. Now you're probably thinking, oh, this is horrendous. I've just blown 10 grand and all I've got is £990 a month. But when you look at the 12-month value of that, what is that? Times 12, it's going to be 880. So when you look at it from a standstill point of, 10 grand turns into 11.8. So you've pretty much broken even. Well, actually, no, you haven't. You've done a bit better than that. Sorry. Divide that by 10 grand times 100. 18. You still made. So with the worst case scenario, you've still made 18.8%. Don't forget the 0.8. Like the worst funnel, the worst business, ever, and you've still made 18.8% per year ROI. And don't forget, if let's say you didn't do anything else, you're going to get a natural rollover. So at the end of year one, a percentage, a percentage of these people will then roll over. So let's say it's just, it's really bad. It's still 10% again. Well, you've then got another 3 people rolling over for a further, 90 quid a month, etc. It's going to be higher than that. But, and so people sort of look at me weirdly going, why would you borrow loads of money? Like, I will borrow money, I will borrow an endless amount of money and pay 10 to 15% per year. Because this is all I do. I'll take a 100 grand loan without, and I'll pay 10%, which for an average investor making 10% a year is, from doing nothing is really good. But I would then take that money and then I'll just do this, exactly what I've covered today, and convert that 100 grand into a worst case 5 grand a month or 20k a month. So, and guess what Fairy is about to do? So we've done a whole bunch of different campaigns with My Fairy Pen Pal, and it's solid. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. How long has Fairy been going? Probably 18 months. So, and we've been doing little. When I say little, we've been doing smaller campaigns. We're doing 10 grand here, 10 grand there, 10 grand here, etc. Just to test all the numbers. But we can hang our hat on the numbers. So this then led us to the next point of view, to the next part of the My Fairy Pen Pal story. So the story. So when I talk about the story, it's basically part of the plan that we went through from day one. So it was like day one, we test. The first milestone was get £300 per month profit. The next milestone was get 3 grand a month profit. And then the next milestone was get 2 members of staff, 2 staff, and to be break even. Then, I'm running out of space. Then the next milestone is get 2 members of staff to then also make 3 grand a month with 2 members of staff. 3 grand a month profit, by the way. This is all profit. Everything I talk about down here is profit. And then the next milestone is a bit of a jump. To then jump to 5 staff, 10k profit. 10k per month profit. So this was always the plan. So by the end of year one we hit 450 a month profit. Within 2 months we hit this 450. By the end of year one we hit it was basically 4.5 grand a month. I simply 10x the marketing campaign from here to here. So we just 10x'd it, nice. But then and so this is where we won the challenge. But then we have to go to this. Now the thing is, the moment you start getting staff, you can either stay as a one-man band making 3 grand a month or 4.5 grand a month, which is great. But Ellie, we've got kids and stuff, and so we need to free her up. So we basically converted that 4.5 grand a month into staff. And so then we ended up. So this is where we hit here not long ago. So we got 2 full-time members of staff. We hit break, we had a bit of a profit, and so now we are right here. So we've got this weird limbo period where we've got 2 full members of staff. We're gearing up all of the stock, getting our systems geared up. We've got a tiny bit of profit, and the next ad campaign is just to hit this target here and then this here. But what I want to do now is I'm getting not bored, but I want to do things a bit faster. So we're now going to try and raise 100k. Or just 100 grand. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and we're not going to give out. So normally what people do is go and raise 100 grand and give out equity. I'm and we're not too we're not too fussed about the equity bit. So yeah, 1 second, folks.
Right, I've been up in the loft. I can't see anything wrong with the ventilation. There's loads of ventilation.
Okay.
I'm going to have to speak to the boss, see what he wants me to go and do next.
Okay.
Right, so I've been at the back of the toilet. It all looks fine.
Okay, but there's still the smells
I
of.
don't know. I don't know where it's coming from. It's not from toilets.
Okay.
In the basin.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry,
yeah.
If you want, I'll just go and he can liaise with you.
Please.
When you're busy.
Okay, thanks, mate. Sorry, folks. We have plumbing issues. So what we're doing with the plan now is, I mean, we were talking about. In fact, all weekend we were thinking, do we give away equity to get 100 grand? Because then you don't have to repay the loan. Because if you got shareholders. And I think we're finally. So the plan was to basically sell 10% of the business for 100k, and that then also makes sense. In fact, this is a really good point. Hopefully, you have an extra 15 minutes or so, because I want to talk about the investor's perspective. So in fact, let's go over here. Options. So the plan was we wanted 100k. So we could either we could basically give away 10% of the business for 100k, and that can either be one person, two people, or 10 people putting 10 grand in. Doesn't really matter. Or we basically raise 100k at 10% per year as an interest. And so, in fact, we're pretty much open-minded to it. But obviously this makes sense, taking, not giving away equity, because the 10% interest per year is going to be nothing, seeing as we have a funnel which converts like this. So I think I would prefer the loan option, because that would just work all day long. But then we were also thinking of trying to get ambassadors, maybe. I don't know. There's also, you can skin a cat a million different ways. Probably not the best analogy these days, but we were probably thinking getting 10 people to put 10 grand in, and make those 10 people like ambassadors, and also give them profit shares, or whatever. But if let's just look at it from the investor's point of view. Let's say there was an investor thinking, wait, does this make financial sense for me? Like whether this person puts in 100 grand or this person puts in 10 grand for 1%. I mean, let's just say it's 10k, okay? And, this person now has 1% in their hands. Well, what is the plan? Well, with 100k, remember, we're planning, I've showed you with the funnel, we're dividing it by 5, so 100k turns into 20k a month, but let's just stick to my normal yardstick of divided by 10. So the 100k will literally just all go into marketing. So the 100k will then turn into 10 grand a month. Combined with what we have at the moment, so long story short, we'll probably end up with 12 grand a month profit. 12k per month profit. And we'll have something like a 75% divvy schedule. So with a 75% divvy schedule, basically every single month, 75% of this profit will then be divvied out in terms of distributable cash flow. So we'll then get, what is that? 12k times 0.75. So 9 grand a month will go out into divvies. Now, if someone over here has got 1% thinking, well, I'm not going to make much with 1%. Well, 1% of 9 grand is 90 quid a month. And by the way, the business is going to keep on growing. So let's do the maths based on everything stays flat. So 90 quid a month, what is that per year? Times 12 equals £1,080 per year. Which equals, what is that? 10% a year, basically. 1,080, divide that by 10,000 times 100. The investor is basically making 10.8% per year with this valuation, and that's if we and I've really toned down the conversion rates here. I'm pretty sure the 100 grand is going to turn into 20 grand a month. Just like with the previous examples that we've done with Fairy, simply because it's like the CPL is so damn cheap. And what actually happens is we don't actually because of the 15 quid coming back in every time we get a new trialer, we just pop that back into marketing. So we may have a 10k budget, but as trialers come back in, we just recycle it. So 10k cash actually turns into like 15 grand in actual ad spend. And so worst case scenario, it's like we're going to be giving out 9 grand a month in divvies or 18 grand a month in divvies. So it's either 10% or 20%. So from the investor point of view, it's not a bad shout. However, it makes more financial sense for us just to go and get a loan. But getting a loan for a business that's only been running for 18 months is hard. And so at the moment, this then leads me to the another seesaw question is, why don't I just personally put 100 grand myself into this? If I do this, so I could, but then I'm also then balancing the seesaw of cryptos versus MVP. Sorry, MFP. And at the moment, cryptos is winning. Because then I have to go, right, I could either put 100 grand into Fairy myself, but what am I going to lose out with crypto? And I think the market's going to keep on rallying hard until Christmas time, January 2022. So I think we've probably got another 6 months of hard rallying ahead of us. So 100 grand could very easily turn into 200 grand with cryptos or more, seeing as I've got some cryptos which have already 10x'd, which is just ridiculous. So I think in January time I probably will be injecting capital. I'll probably be taking capital away from cryptos and into MFP and some of the other businesses. But right now, I don't want to touch my crypto. So this is why we're going down the loan option, or even the equity. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cleaner with a loan. And also, the investor literally sits there and does nothing for 10% a year. Okay, so hopefully we've covered a few bits here. Not just marketing stuff, but actual business planning. Like, this is all I do, by the way. In terms of planning your business forwards, I don't have like a 8-page PowerPoint presentation of what we're going to do and cash flow forecast spreadsheets, which never come true. This is all I do. I doodle little scribbles on pieces of paper or my doodle pad like this and go, right, what's the next target? This. Okay, what do we need to get to this point here? We need to do this. Okay, now we need to get this target, 5 staff, 10 grand profit a month. What do we need to do this? Okay, we need an extra 500 members. Cool. How much is that going to cost us? What's our CPA? Cost per acquisition. So, and here's the thing, because so look, when we do the maths on this, so going back to this example, this real life example here with the real stats, 100. So basically 10 grand. Ignoring the recycling of the money, just completely ignore that. Worst case scenario, 10 grand divided by 133 clients is £75 per client. So basically, let's round it up even further. Let's say, okay, as you scale the marketing, it's going to become more expensive. Okay, so let's say it costs 100 quid to get a new Fairy. Well, if you want... and then, so we can just do rough maths. So if we want to go from, 5 members of staff, let's say we've got 10 grand a month in outgoings, and then we want 10 grand profit. So basically, the Fairy needs, call it 20k. Rough figures, I'm ignoring tax and all that sort of 20k. So you then do 20k divided by 100. 20k, divide that by 100. Sorry, what am I doing here? I need. Wait a minute. It doesn't sound right. 20,000 divided by 100 should be 2,000. Wait. Sorry, I'm. £30 a month. Sorry. So if we want an extra 20k a month, it's gonna. Sorry, I'm working this the wrong way around. Sorry. each ferry. So I've missed out a whole step. Each ferry makes roughly £10 per month profit, so it's £120 per year. So so if you want an extra 20k a month, divide that by 120. We need 166. Yeah, Jamie's beating me to. We need an extra. Wait, I'm just going to double check this. So 20k. So that's it. No, sorry. 20. This is where I've gone wrong. I'm going too fast. 20k per month is what we need, and therefore a ferry is only making us £10 profit per month. That's better. The number of 2,000 was in my head, and I couldn't get to it. Yeah, 2,000, because that is actually. I remember this from previous planning. We need an extra 2,000 ferries. Well, what is an extra 2,000 ferries going to cost? 100 quid. So worst case scenario, we need 200 grand in ad spend to get to this level here, where 5 staff all paid for plus 10k profit. But I know it's not as bad as that, because one, we've got the 15 quids a month, that we're going to recycle. But two, what is the lag? The lag is like 2.5 months basically. So when you put a whole, 10 grand in 2.5 months' time, you get a big chunk of it back when people roll over. And so the lag, you can use, basically, I've done the math, I won't bore you. I can basically do 200 grand's worth of ad spend with a pot of about 100k. I reckon I can easily double it. So that is the only business planning you need to do. Okay, so so then it's a case of, right, I need to go out and get 100 grand cash. Well, guess what? That's what we're doing. And then the option that then leads you to is, well, you can either give away equity and go and find investors, but then they're probably going to bend you over a bit and go, I want 20% of 100 grand. And then we'll be like, go away, not interested. And then we'll just, go and get loans. Or worst case scenario, I have to dip my hand in my crypto pocket. So, right. That is, I guess, the content part. Shit, it's 48 minutes. Let's go through the questions. So Zoom has priorities. Let's go through the Zoom questions. So please, folks, I much prefer it if for people to join the Zoom session than the Facebook Live. I know Facebook Live is just nice and convenient, but join the Zoom session. It's real time. You can hear stuff in real time, unlike the lag. Johnny Peters, even property guys rent a lot. It's a wise thing to do. Yeah, if you look at most of Europe, they're renters. It's only the US and the UK that we're just like buying mad. Good morning, afternoon, campers. Hope everyone's doing it. Hey, Rachel. Is this? No, it wasn't from trade. Sorry, we've gone way back. Sorry. David, there is a goal over here in Belfast that has a successful e-com business with subscription pants. Ah, nice. You can literally do subscription on anything. So, as I said last night, I saw subscription soup. Depending on what's given for the sub, there's anything. Or you could just productize your business. You could be a web dev company, making websites, and you could just go, right, instead of you spending 5 grand for a new website, you just divide that by 12. Boom, you got 500 quid a month coming in, or a bit less than that, 416 a month or something like that. Rachel, we're trying to implement a sub into our business, but just figuring out what. Don't want to just throw anything together for a cash flow grab. Yeah, it has to be congruent. It needs to be. It needs to work. So, for example, with Float Norwich, a single float is £55, or you can become a member and spend £55 a month, and you get 2 floats per month. So it's like a 50% discount straight away, and therefore the membership, it seems congruent. So people come in for a float, they're like, oh, that was really good, amazing. And then we just go, well, you can have 2 floats a month for literally the same amount of money. Or no, actually, I think what we say is, well, you spent £55 already for that float you just had. How about you just become a member right now, and we'll, and then that £55 you then start your 2 floats. So they're effectively, month 1, they're getting, 3 floats. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that you can do with the numbers. Alexander, I've got to exercise. Yeah, I do. I really should. Everyone's trying to do it. Literally every company I come across has. Pret a Manger, I think. Was it £5 a month for coffees? Unlimited or 20 coffees a month or something like that. Just wonder. So James said, did you start off trying a free one or go straight for paid? Oh, we've done everything. we started off doing. No, with Fairy, we didn't do any free ones for Fairy because we got a lot of costs with Fairy, so we literally couldn't do a free trial. We started off with asking for a £45 trial for 6 months or something like that, and then that bombed, and then we just kept, and then we found the sweet spot, 15 quid for 2 months, because they're getting lots of physical stuff through the post. It's a lot harder when you're doing like online free stuff, like the WAP. I couldn't do that. Because people go, what is the intrinsic value of this? Well, it's free. So, Rachel, do you have someone who manages your Facebook ads? Yep, it's me. I do everything myself. What's the cost to mail out letters and other Fairy bits and pieces? So, yeah, we worked out, we've got it down. So, 15 quid a month. We're not VAT registered yet because we're below the threshold for the moment. And we've worked out it's about £10 profit per month. So, we're spending about 5 quid a month on stuff and postage and all that sort of stuff. And we've moved it to, it used to be an every week type thing, but it's just like a logistic nightmare. So Fairy packages go out every 2 weeks, but we've increased, like we're putting more gifts in because we're saving a few pounds a month on postage. So we just convert that £2 into more gifts into the package to make the package better. Depends if the idea. Okay, who cares what you rent? Yeah, my mate from France was bemused by all of us being pushed into buying homes. They always rented. Yeah, I completely agree. Most of Europe are renters. Trying to explain rent argument to my son. Rachel, just send him those videos. Go to YouTube and type renting versus buying Siam kid. I made 2 videos that talk all about the renting buying argument. Because I just look at it from a numbers point of view. I'm just obsessed with ROI, return on time invested, return on capital invested, basically. Yeah, opportunity cost at the end of the day, Jamie. Spot on. David, there's a kids subscription thing like MFP using Paddington brand that advertise heavily on TV. Yeah, that's new. We just saw that come out. We're like, god damn it. Because that's direct competition, basically, to MFP. What a bastard. Yes, I agree. Peter, I had landlords that do that kind of thing to me a few times, intimidating my girlfriend, etc. Absolute cowards. Yeah, by the way, this guy I was away on business, and Ellie was in the car with the 2 kids, and he cornered the car and said, you gotta pay, if you regret it if you don't. And Ellie was shitting herself, like 2 kids in the back of the car, and this massive 6-foot bodybuilder comes and threatens her. Like, yeah, he should go back to jail. That's where he belongs. And yeah, he used to be a convict. Renting out houses seems to attract a certain class of absolute twat bags. They're the reason the housing market is broken. The economy shouldn't depend on bubbles, things people need to survive. Yeah, I agree, Peter. Jamie, could we try one of these subscription businesses with the WAP? Similar to MFP. Jamie, can you elaborate on that question? Could we try one of these subscription businesses with the WAP? I'm not sure what that means. The WAP is a subscription-based business. It's 30 quid a month or 300 quid a year. David, yeah, I feel really bad because I wasn't rude to the plumber, but I was like, hey, please come and do your thing, and I didn't. Yeah, I was torn between you folks and the plumber. You folks won. Rachel, what about creating on the side within the business project that raises money purely for the 100k? Yeah, you can, but it's just, ease of life. Like, we just want to focus on certain things. Like, I've got 9 businesses to basically worry about. I don't want a 10th mini business. I'm just trying to keep things simple. I'm trying to get rid of businesses. So if anyone wants to buy Float Norwich, please let me know. I'm selling it for cheap. I'm selling my 90% for 50k, which is massively undervalued, but I just want to get rid of it. Johnny, have you ever heard of Martin Armstrong? Nope. Just watched a documentary on Amazon Prime about him. Very interesting indeed. Cool. David Ross, what is the WAP? The WAP is a map to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. That's the cheesy tag. The WAP is called the Wealth Action Plan. And it's this. Well, it's not this. I'll show you what it's a Netflix for business. That's what I've sort of made it. And so for £30 a month or 300 quid a year, you get access to the WAP map and a private Facebook group. But you have all of these modules, and there's pretty much everything you need to run and grow your business. Everything from Facebook marketing, everything I do there, how to build a website, copywriting, investing, mergers, acquisitions, staff, and everything about staff. Like, there's literally everything here that you need to run your business. And with the My Fairy Pen Pal, we actually documented every single step of the process, every single part of the WAP. Of My Fairy Pen Pal. We put it down here in this module, live experiment. And from the day we set it up to where it is now, and everything that we did. So that's what the WAP is. Where are the other questions? Jamie, sorry it was vague. If we join the WAP, could we try building our own subscription-based businesses similar to MFP or something? Yeah, Jamie, like the whole reason for the WAP's existence is basically to teach you how to do exactly what I do. I know a lot of people look down on that, go, oh yeah, you're trying to teach people to set up a business. Well, there's so much value in the WAP, and we're literally swipe and deploy. Literally learn everything we've done with My Fairy Pen Pal and just copy it. Literally, I'm telling you, copy exactly what I'm doing. And you won't go far wrong. Obviously, don't do fairies, because that's MySpace. And I'm just... So we have future plans to do, My Pixie Pen Pal or My Monster Pen Pal or something like that. A boys version, because My Fairy Pen Pal is really for girls between the age of 5 and 10. And everyone's go, oh, I've got a son, can you just do like a different one? I'm like, oh my god, you have no idea how long it takes to set up something, just so once we're cash heavy and all completely automated, the staff running everything, then we'll branch out and go, hey, we're now launching My Monster Mate. Hey, My Monster Mate. Maybe we will use that name. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. Alex, I'm quite good with accounting, not very friendly or familiar with generating ideas. How do you come up with the idea of MFP? Where can I get one of those ideas from? Well, it's funny you say that. In the WAP map, there's a module called Business Ideas. Click. And there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And there's business models, different biz models you can do, how to execute your business idea. I'm shitting you not. The WAP has everything you need to set up a business and grow it. Everything. I'm not joking. Basically, in 2018, I sat down and wrote 450,000 words in about a year, or under a year. It was either 11 months or 9 months, I can't remember. But basically, I wrote 450,000 words in a year, which is about the content of 8 books. And I converted all of those words into videos, basically. So that's what the WAP map is. It's basically an upload of my biz brain, I guess. Johnny... And just for context, the WAP will help you get a business, up to sort of 20k a month profit. It's not. I'm not a corporate type person. I don't have a business that's making millions of pounds per year profit, but you don't need to. I just focus on setting up businesses, lots of businesses that make 10 grand a month profit, 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, and just have a whole bunch of them. That's what I do. I just play around in the smaller space. It's just a lot easier and less bullshit. When you start getting into business where a business is making £5 million profit a year, etc., you then sort of enter the realm of VCs and not necessarily corporate raiders, but it gets way more vicious. Johnny, sorry I didn't give much away there. He analyzes all data around the world and was able to predict the crashes over the last few decades, and then spent 12 years in jail because he wouldn't give the government the source code. Wow, okay, I'm going to have to Google him. Sounds about right. That's a typical government douchebag move. David, I just trademarked My Monster Mate. I'll fight you for it. Anyway, all right, let's look at the questions on Facebook now, and then we'll call it a day. Lewis, best business niches right now. Barbers seem to be doing very well. It's a hard business to scale, barbers. Really, you need a business that you can scale it online. It's hard scaling a physical business. Like I've got a good chum, a guy called Aaron Hardingham, who runs a really good tattoo business. A Obsidian. Oh shit! I should know the name of his business. I know he calls his tattoo like Obsidian Art. He's like an amazing drawer, tattoo artist, but he's planning on growing his tattoo parlors nationally now, and like it's a massive undertaking. He'll do well, but it's hard work scaling a bricks and mortar type business where you physically need something. And I was planning all that sort of stuff at Float Norwich way back in the day, but it's just too much hard work for my liking. Which is why I prefer online businesses, because you can scale them internationally with the click of a few buttons and keyboard strokes. Tom Grange, not a question, just a side comment. I think you got loads of crypto questions yesterday because the crypto session you lined up last week got ditched for a short one where you had the kids in the car. Ah, yes, that makes sense. Aaron, I don't know if he's still in this. It looks like he was here. Don't know if he still is, but hey, mate. I was just talking about you. Barbers have a ridiculous turnover of staff. Everyone has, and their grandma owns one. Great for owner-operators, maybe not so good for portfolio business. Aaron, spot on. That's exactly my thoughts on it. Aaron, the WAP is great. Just finished the mindset course this morning. Hey, nice one. Aaron, hey, you're still about. Plugging the WAP. Nice one, mate. The WAP is a one-stop shop to learn, create, build, and operate a business. Insane value. I'm using it to grow my current set of businesses. Nice one. So Chris Hutchinson, hey, mate. I guarantee within 2 years, I'm going to be one of the 10,000 people you want to get 140k profit with 4 staff through the WAP. I love it. Oh, amazing. Nice one. Cool. Well, yeah, let's call it a day. It's been an hour. I need to go and call the plumber and apologise that I sort of ignored him. He was trying to tell me what happened as he left. And I was like, I guess. So Jamie said, I guess maybe most people have a job as well. How much time would be needed to do the WAP and dedicate setting up a business and managing it, if that makes sense? I'm always funny about the time issue because when I was broke, I had basically 2 jobs and a part-time business. I had a 9 to 5 job. It was an 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. job. And then I was pulling pints in the Farmhouse pub in Norwich from, I think, sort of 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock. And during those 2 jobs, I still created a business from scratch. I used every toilet break, every lunch break, every spare break I had. And let's say you're an average person let's say the average person works from 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock. You have family, you walk the dog, all that sort of stuff. You get the kids to bed by, let's say 8 o'clock. What are you doing from 8 p.m. till midnight? Like, that, yeah, I mean, you got 4 hours a day there, easy. So, Ellie, my wife, she set up My Favorite Pen Pal with me during kids sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I know these days, what I do these days is not how I recommend you should do it. Like these days, I'm dedicating a lot more time to free time. Like I'm probably spending a good 3 hours a day playing computer games. but I'm comfy now. I can spend 3-4 hours a day. In fact, last night I finished a game of Age of Empires with a guy called Adam, and it ended at 2:45 at night in the morning, and my eyes were bleeding. It was just a really long game. But I can do that now because I've got most of the things automated. But back in the day, I was not doing that. I was spending 4 hours a day. Every spare second, I was doing it to set up the businesses. So, yeah. Right. Yeah, no quick crypto stuff today. We'll perhaps do it tomorrow. Hopefully that makes sense. I just wanted to keep this all business today. Yeah, thanks everyone. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I'm just hoping all the content's helping people here. By the way, at some point I will stop doing these daily live sessions for the general public. I'll just have to. It's unsustainable for me, I think. Maybe. I don't know. At the moment I'm alright. I think every month I'm going, should I do these daily sessions? Yes or no? And at the moment it's yes. But at some point it will stop. And I'll just make this only for the whappers. So yeah. Right. I'll see you. I love you all. Gotta go. Toodles. Bye. See you. That awkward moment where I try and find out where the end button is on my Zoom. Where is it? Ah, this screen. Here we go. Bye.